It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, let's review.
We'll analyze the scene
Sounds holly jolly to me.
before it's over. Let's begin.
Bum.
Bum.
That's right, folks. Since the Christmas season is upon us, we thought the way to celebrate and get into the holiday spirit would be with some holiday reviews.
12 to be exact, decoratively divided into 4 categories for your Yuletide pleasure.
So, without further ado, silver up those bells, light the multicolored lights, and go out to build a snowman and join us as we get into some seasonal shenanigans. And tonight, Dragon, on the eve of Christmas Eve, if you will, we are unwrapping our final installment of the season finale, the big one, Frosty's Winter Wonderland.
Happy birthday.
All right, Dragon. This is you are definitely the big Frosty guy out of the two of us. I only have a passing familiarity with Frosty. Um, I think I might have seen the original short once or twice as a kid. I don't have a ton of nostalgia for it, but I did enjoy it quite a bit when we talked about it a couple of years ago on Seasonal Shenanigans. And this one, I gotta say, this one's definitely in the same ballpark as the first one. I'm not really sure which one I prefer because the first one is much more like iconic and wholesome, but this one has a lot going for it too. The two main selling points for this one for me being, of course, Andy Griffith. You know me, Dragon. I love me some Andy Griffith, and also, of course, Paul Frees as Jack Frost. Those were the two big factors for me, and yeah, they're unsurprisingly, watching the short itself, they're the two big factors that really help distinguish this. Having said that, Dragon, I gotta say I'm not over the moon about the Frosty gets a wife plot. It's fine. Don't get handled well enough. It's just not the most original thing in the world they could do for a sequel. Like, I don't think this is like an over the moon, like one of the best sequels ever made, or even one of my favorite Christmas specials by any stretch. Honestly, I'd say out of the big finales that we've done for seasonal shenanigans, it's probably the one I'm going to have the least attachment to overall. But with that being said, it's still like a warm holiday blanket. You know what I mean? It's got a great cast. It's got a really a really clunky old fashioned animation style in the best of ways, and it's wholesome and it's got a good holiday message. I'm sure that you have much more of attachment to it than I do, but I liked it well enough. I'm not crazy about it. I don't think it's like, I wouldn't even say it's in my top three of the things we reviewed this year. Honestly, I think I far this year we'll kind of talk about our selections this year. I think far and away, we kind of peaked early this year with the Christmas Chronicles. I think that's far and away the best thing we've reviewed this year. But still, for what it is, it's a very nice, wholesome special.
Right. So, for me, Frosty Snowman's a kind of a personal thing for me. I get a lot of fondness for that old jolly snowman. My grandmother, she lifelong fan of Frosty. She loves Frosty the Snowman. Like the Christmas thing she loves most is Frosty the Snowman, and especially this one. I remember I got her this because she always talks about Frosty's Winter Wonderland is always kind of on pins and needles like when it was going to come on TV. So I got her the DVD. So the whole thing. So again, a big lot of love for. Personally, I like the first one better, but I mean, this is personally, I like the first one better because it's the magician, like elements like the magician, like all messy, messy, messy. A lot of just simply there's a lot of quotable lines. You get a little bit of Paul Frees in the first one, so I love it. But the second one, you do have you do have a lot going for it as well. I think you're absolutely right about that. It's I think it's a solid sequel. It's compared to all the here's the thing. Again, with the fondness I have for the original Frosty and for this one, it's so much better than the other things they've done with Frosty the Snowman. There are three other things with Frosty the Snowman. I never really watched the stop motion Frosty, and when he was basically worked into one of the Rankin Bass specials. I think it was some sort of crossover with him and Rudolph.
Yeah, it was Christmas in July, actually.
Oh yes. It's one of these days we got to get to that at some point. But
kind of break our loophole with Christmas in July a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, so here's the thing. So I tell you, Tiki, the other two I have watched are terrible. The worst things I've seen with Frosty, just not good at all. There's Frosty Returns and The Legend of Frosty the Snowman. I can't stand it. I really can't. I mean, at the very least, the first Frosty Returns is like I had a fondness for it in my youth because hey, there's another Frosty, and look, it's John Goodman's playing Frosty. How quaint! But years later, you rewatch it, like this doesn't hold up at all. I mean, John Goodman can't save this thing. What's going on here? And then I remember getting really excited because Cartoon Network.
Goodman couldn't save it, just like he couldn't save Father of the Pride.
Pretty much. And then there was this other thing. There was kind of like an event on Cartoon Network one year. I think it was 2006. I think years back. They did The Legend of Frosty the Snowman, and The Legend of Frosty the Snowman was in a similar animation style. I use that in a loose sense because Frosty kind of looked like classic Frosty, but here's the problem. Everyone else in that looked so off and so weird. Like there was no charm. It wasn't Rankin Bass at all, and it was just really weird. And it was like the whole thing was about Frosty the Snowman, but by the same token, no one really talked about Frosty. It's like Frosty wasn't a character in his own special, and how stupid is that? I'm sorry, I'm getting off track here. My point is, this was like the only good Frosty sequel, in my opinion. I haven't really. You even look at the Rudolph crossover, which again I haven't really seen the Christmas in July crossover. I mean, I'm sure you look at that. It's like a guest spot more than it is like a Frosty sequel. This is a Frosty sequel. I think is eons better than anything you'll see of Frosty the Snowman. So that's kind of where I'm at on Winter Wonderland. So.
All right. So what is the background on this thing, Dragon?
The background goes a little like so. Rankin Bass did Frosty the Snowman in '69, and of course it was based on the 1950 song, Frosty the Snowman, popularized by Jimmy Durante. So, Rankin Bass, years go on, they have a stable of Christmas classics like Rudolph, The Year Without Santa Claus, and, at some point they kind of make sequels to these, and Frosty was one of the lucky few that got those sequels in '76 with this. So I guess the logic, and I'm kind of reading into a little bit of this here. I suppose the logic was let's attach a different iconic song to this, kind of give it like kind of a new flair of like, okay, the first movie, the first special was, Frosty the Snowman, hence the song. And here let's do Winter Wonderland, but work it into the Frosty the Snowman cartoon. Again, like kind of have a whole song kind of be the genesis of our cartoon here. And they basically kind of had the bright idea that I really can't applaud it enough for. It's a very simple logic, but it made sense. Let's enact Winter Wonderland, the song. It's all about a wedding. Therefore, let's give him a wife. All right. And he gave Paul Frees an extended role because Paul Frees had the small roles like Santa Claus and the traffic cop in the first one. So here's let's give him like a big role. Let's give him Jack Frost, completing our cinematic universes of Jack Frost, I suppose.
I'm Jack Frost.
These 4 or 5 Jack Frosties, Jack Frosties, with a beverage based on the franchise. Jack Frosties, get your Jack
into
Frosties.
The Jack Frost verse.
Yeah, the Frost Zone. That'll be that's gonna be the tagline for the poster. Jack Frost, the continuum, stay frosty.
Oh God.
Okay. Anyway, so here's what happened.
Honestly, Dragon, if Lord and Miller were behind it, then I'd say it'd be probably a damn good movie.
Certainly. So Jimmy Durante, he's not. You'll notice that he's not in this because Jimmy Durante had been very sick at the time, and he had passed away He had retired because he was sick, and of course, a few years after this, he had passed away. So they got Andy Griffith, kind of another kind of all Americana kind of personality, kind of a singer, and kind of mainly. I think
Andy
they went.
Griffith is more American than apple pie.
That's the thing. I mean, it's like the man is whistling. That's Andy Griffith for you. He's whistling and loitering. That's Andy Griffith in a nutshell. I mean, everyone's you got a lot of mad love for Matlock, and of course various other Andy Griffith roles, including some funny stuff like Spy Hard, which is not super funny, but it's like, hey, Andy Griffith's there. He's in kind of a wacky comedy playing the straight. What do you know? Anyway. So they have the same crew as the first Frost. They got Romeo Mueller, who was writing on this, and they have Rankin Bass in the directing chairs as they did in the first one. They got different kids in this. Likely, I imagine it's like the simple logic of back then. There wasn't like a lot of continuity applied to Frosty. Like, let's not worry about getting Karen back into the fray, recasting a kid that sounds exactly like Karen, getting the animation straight on the money. Let's not worry about that. I just figure it was like kind of a cost effective thing for animation back then. It's a guess,
Mm-hmm.
And so again, continuity was kind of a non-factor with Rankin Bass, especially back then. And you'll notice in all the sequels they did for various other things they did. I think this is like part of the course. They revamped the design because why not? Like it's kind of almost like vaguely like a Batman the Animated Series revamp, where it's the same continuity. The first special did happen. It happened in this universe. It came to life, the song, everything happened. Only now he has a scarf. He has a scarf, and the kids look a little funky. It's about it. That's like the main cosmetic change we made to it. And I don't know if it was manipulated because I keep noticing this. All the Frosty merchandise you buy now, rarely will you find like the stuff from the '69 first one. Like Frosty without the scarf. Now every time you see Frosty, it's him with the scarf or him with the scarf and the broom. It's I don't know. I guess for simplicity's sake and maybe for a marketing reason, they revamped the design. Just kind of figure, let's just change them all, make it easier for ourselves. And you'll notice the kind of the classic Rankin Bass. We cut corners a little bit in the animation here and there, but more on that later. So all that said, that's our background. So without further ado, folks, this is one of our we neglected to mention this at the start. This is our special category. Ordinarily, we like to close out seasonal shenanigans with our special category, which means we're going beat by beat in great detail. Basically when we don't go beat by beat with a pitch, in great detail. In this case, go beat by beat through Frosty's Winter Wonderland.
Yeah, we don't always go beat by beat through the finales because we did do Nightmare Before Christmas as the finale one year, but
that's a point. I mean, either a retrospective or beat by beat. That's usually how we work the specials, I suppose. Then.
Okay, so no plot synopsis, Dragon. Just get right into it.
Yeah, we're gonna go through the plot. Let's do
it.
Okay, so we start with the iconic snowflakes and then the song, Frosty, da-da-da, and the music there.
Am I heartless to say that I think the song is maybe just a little too overused in this?
To be fair, I'm gonna raise you this. Okay, one, it's mostly instrumental, and two, when we reprise it, it's altered or made fun of by.
No, I understand that. I understand that we get all the reprisals with the alterations, but to me, it's just like, okay, like we're sure kind of leaning on this as a narrative crutch a little bit. Okay, here's the thing right off the bat that I have to address with this. This thing is like basically critic proof because I do have nitpicks with it. I really do, but it's like honestly, what's even the point of nitpicking something like this? Really, what's the point? You know what I mean? Because it's like this thing is from a bygone era. This thing is like it wasn't made to be plot hole proof. It's kind of like Mary Poppins in that way, Dragon. I had a lot of fun with Mary Poppins Returns because it wasn't a plot-driven movie. It was just a movie where you could just, kick your feet up for 2 hours and get lost in the fantasy of it all.
Yeah, you're not asking.
I take that attitude going forward here, where it's like, yeah, there are some things that could get under my skin. Like I said, I think the song does get a little bit repetitious, but you know what? I don't care.
Yeah, it's sort of like Mary Poppins. Like, why does she have that pocket dimension, man? It's like, who cares?
Exactly.
It's animated penguins. Why are you complaining? Just watch it. They're animated, darn it. Anyway, we're making history here, and you're asking about pocket dimensions. What? Anyway, let's get back on point here. So So time has passed. There's a question of, like, again, the continuity of Frosty. And these are questions you don't need to ask. But again, there's no problem either or. It's just a question of some time has passed. I'm under the interpretation that like it takes place right after Frosty, but maybe again more time might have passed. At least a year has passed. You know, like, again, it's picking up where he left off in the last one. He says, "I'll be back again someday," and the kids are left wondering when someday is going to come. You know, Frosty said he'd return someday, and we're still waiting. It's winter again, man.
You want to talk about the designs now?
Well, let me. Yeah, sure. Let's start it now. Yeah, sure. What do you got?
I mean, they're not terrible, but they're. I would say they're charmingly off model.
I don't disagree. Again, I look again. Design on the whole. Again, I still like the first Frosty better because again, that's like that's permeated. Sorry, it's permutated in history. You know, like that's embedded like granite in the history of Rankin Bass. And when you go back to that well and you change these things, it just feels somewhat like heresy to you in the DNA. You know, it just feels like something's off here. So even if it is on model, just change is hard to accept with certain things. And this is like it just feels off, and it feels it again. I think it's consistent for what it's doing, but it just feels off. You know.
The Andy Griffith caricature is kind of terrifying.
In places, he has like there's like this one place where his eyes are kind of looking off in a different direction. It's a little scary, but again, I gotta tell you, he's not a bad design though. I don't know, it's pretty good likeness to him. I thought.
I mean, I guess
I'm saying, look,
I feel like it's not the design; it's more the way he moves. I agree with that.
I mean, Jimmy Durante had a great caricature model about him because it was Jimmy Durante's face, but it was like big, like half the size of his body, and that worked. That's the difference. Like all the heads are big on the adults, and Andy Griffith. I think that's the thing, T. I think I just got it. Andy Griffith and I guess the Parson later, but especially Andy Griffith, are like the only characters without big heads, like every other character in Frosty.
Sure.
I think that might be it anyway. But yeah, the kids are little off design wise, but anyway, so what are the kids doing?
Well, they're trying to build a snowman, but they're not getting anywhere because the snowman's not coming to life.
Yeah, they put the straw hat on and nada. It's a no-go. They miss Frosty, they miss their pal, and they're questioning, do you think he meant he'd come back one day? When he said that, do you think he meant it? Then enter Andy Griffith, Mr. Americana, Ron Howard's grandpa. Well,
yeah, pretty much.
That's not Ron. Take it's been years. What's the relation to Opie?
Actually, it's his father.
Here's the thing. I was just thinking like kind of classically in the sense of Americana, like Ron Howard's was the next generation, but no, yeah, that's I wanted to do the actual accurate comparison there. Ron Howard's father in a way.
Ron Howard's not biological father.
It's a Rogue One joke for kids. Anyway. So so enter Andy Griffith on cue, and I love this. And this to me like defeats the whole like we have kind of a fun almost fourth wall acknowledgement of like we're gonna rehash the song a lot here. Where Andy Griffith he recaps the song, and it just feels off in a funny way. Where he says Frost. Here's the thing: you're right about the movements, and this is the movement that cracks me up, and how off it is. He's marching in place for some odd reason.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Every time I go back to this, and again, this is kind of like the get out of jail free card, all the reprise, because they kind of like have a gag to kind of make it. It's like Frosty the Snowman, and he waved goodbye, saying, "Don't you cry, he'll be back again someday." Basically, recapping the whole premise of Frosty the Snowman. And in saying that, we then transition to Frosty himself, and again, we see Frosty with his new model. He's got the scarf, again, most likely to move some Frosty merchandise. That's just the synergy in me, I guess. I don't know. So Frosty is at the literal North Pole, the pole in the north with the big old sign. So Frosty's just kind of hanging out there, kind of contemplating life. And this to me is the sweet, endearing thing about Frosty as a character, man. I love Jackie Vernon here. Just Vernon having this lovable. The guy cares about those kids, man. It's just, oh boy, I sure do miss all those boys and girls. It's like it's so endearing. He's thinking about them still. All the fun they had. He's just like, again, it's not like a one-sided thing. Oh, I'm just going to swing by and just like say hi. Like, he's not a celebrity. He's just like, oh boy, I do remember like these are that community brought me to life. I owe it to them, man.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a long time since he's last visited, and Frosty himself, and this is like a classic Frosty the Snowman dilemma. He's wondering, I'd like to go back and visit him, but I said I'd do that someday. But when will I know someday has come? Then a newspaper smacks him in the face.
Conveniently timed.
Yes,
City
and
Wonderland.
convenient. Yeah. So it basically means the snow that someday is today. So Frosty then goes into. I like that Frosty is like a neat little igloo kind of. He has a really nice home kind of setup at the North Pole. I gotta tell you, Frosty's done well for himself in the time since he's left the first special because he's got a really nice kind of carved out ice place going there. And I love that he's writing this letter. First of all, I love the fact that he didn't just drop by. I love that he wrote a letter. Because it's sort of sending a telegram at that time. It's what you do. He's
yeah.
he's writing a letter with an icicle, which I imagine is difficult, to the kids, telling them he's dropping by and he can't wait to see him. The kids are thrilled. Then the narrator, our narrator played by Andy Griffith, he's telling us the surprise of, oh, you've heard the old familiar tale, and again, kind of addressing the repetition of the song. You've heard the old familiar tale, how Frosty came to life, but do you know the story of how Frosty took a wife? And we have the great kind of wedding cake visual. I love the wedding cake visual. What do you think?
It's fine. I mean, like I said, Dragon, I'm not like the whole getting a wife in the second movie thing is not the most original thing in the world. I mean, it worked out well for the Santa Claus 2 and Bride of Frankenstein, but I don't know. I'm not over the moon about the plot line in general, but it's fine, I guess. Dragon, like I said, I'm sorry. I'm just it didn't like it's fine. Like I'm not in love with this thing the same way you are.
I was mainly referring to it's kind of like a sculpted snow cake with like two snowmen kind of design wise. That's a cool visual.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. So Frosty and the kids, they're having some fun, but someone is jealous, and maybe you'd like to take the reins on this.
Yeah, one second. Let me fast forward through the. Sorry. Okay, so Jack Frost, played by Paul Frees, of course. Dragon, I really like this performance from Paul Frees. I like how he's like kind of making his voice higher and not lower. Usually, Paul Frees' performances are sort of in the lower register.
I think he delivers on an excellent performance in this. I really do.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think Jack Frost is kind of the big selling point for this special. Especially the arc that he goes on in like roughly about 15 minutes is like it really is like the most touching thing in the special. It's like all this guy wants is some positive attention. You know what I mean?
The ironic thing is that again, it's a little similar to where Jack Frost starts in our weird Jack Frost kind of cinematic universe here. Kind of eerily similar to the Martin Short Jack Frost from Santa Claus 2.
Yes,
he's tired of being upstaged by. He's tired of being upstaged by again a icon of Christmas. In that case, being Santa Claus. In this case, being Frosty the Snowman.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he gets all the credit and everything. And if you want to go even further, the Chris Pine Jack Frost from Rise of the Guardians. He's he causes like the he gets the kids out of school. He's behind the weather and everything. But again, it just does not get all the credit. People, some people don't believe he exists. All of that sort of stuff. There's always like kind of a fame. There's always like a dissatisfaction with the fame element there. It's like, come on, man! I do all the hard work. I do all the things that the kids love about the winter. And what do I got? Get a lyric and a song. That's all I get. One lyric. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. That's it. I'm done. Anyway. So Jack Frost is there and he's not super satisfied. And he's wondering, why does that snowman get all the credit? I make winter wonderful. So Frosty, he's doing his belly whopper thing. He's doing his belly whopper, sledding down a hill. Jack Frost and jealous Fitty kind of throws him off course with a nice wintry wind. Then we have this delightful bit that cements the dynamic between Frosty and Jack Frost, and I love this, which is, oh, hello, did you make that neat little wind by yourself?
Yeah, Frosty's just like Frosty's just like a simpleton, but he's like such a caring and endearing simpleton. You know what I mean? He's just like he just finds amusement in the most simple things.
Exactly. Jack Frost says, "Oh, I'm Jack Frost, of course. I'm wonderful. Yes, that was me. And I can do anything wintry. Winds, freeze. I can create winds, freeze ponds, blizzards. Blizzards hard enough to close schools down." Again, this is the whole kind of this is the Rise of the Guardians actually thing kind of reminded me of. He was like, "Yep," just like Jack Frost like boasting about the snow days to the Easter Bunny. Yep. So the kids kind of equally they think of him as a bragger. Oh boy, this guy's Jack Frost is such a bragger. Come on, Frost, he's not near as cool as Frosty. Let's go have some fun with our snowman pal. It's Jack Frost. He's had it, man. He's had it. And he's equated to that snowman. Like literally, if you're put yourself in Jack Frost's shoes for a second. You're the guy behind all the winter and everything. You create the snow, and these kids they made a snowman because you made the snow in the first place. And the thing you created is getting all the love where you, Bupkis. No gratitude, no thanks. And again, the X factor in all this, again, what made the snow so special? The magic hat. I get rid of the magic hat. I eliminate the snowman. And that will be that. Pretty neat.
All right. So,
nighttime.
So later on in the night, Frosty's taking all the kids on a one-horse open sleigh ride.
Technically, two-horse.
I could never count.
A fun running gag that Frosty can't count. It's delightfully simple. So Frosty's going to make a figure eight. What does he make instead?
He makes a figure 9. And Dragon, I'm sorry, this is kind of what I'm talking about with the repetition of the song. It's like, do we really need another verse of the song like Frosty the Snowman was the best skater in town or whatever the hell it is?
On the whole, they're recapping, they're kind of homaging bits from the first one, and they're kind of bringing back a reprise altered to kind of echo that. I don't know. It doesn't bug me. Each his own.
All right.
I think, yeah, anyway. So let's see. Oh, yes. It's kind of funny. Like, you have a little bit of off animation here where you see the background extras. They're kind of laughing oddly in the background. They're just kind of laughing at nothing almost.
Right.
Let's see. So then Jack Frosty blows a wind, and in blowing his wind, he blows a hat off, but it's not Frosty's. Instead, is one of the horses' hats. It's like one of those fancy, kind of sleigh rides where the horses were people hats. Where they were.
Sure.
Thank goodness for their ingenuity on that, and thank goodness that's it's like a handsome. I think it's like similar to a handsome cab ride where they put the hats on the horses. It's kind of weird, but people do it. So again, can I say Frosty or something?
I've never heard of this.
Really?
I've never once heard of this.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah, especially in New York. I don't know if they still. It was done all throughout the '90s. I don't know if it's still done now, but it's a handsome cab ride. Yeah, it's a thing.
That sounds absolutely ridiculous.
They just put a hat on the horse or something. They put I guess if it's a lady horse, I don't know. I guess they put the female version of it. I don't know. It's no, but seriously, sometimes they put hats on horses. That's why it's not coming out of nowhere with a horse wearing. Did you think that they just came up with that for this special? The horse wearing a hat.
Yeah, kind of.
No, it's based on a real. Anyway. Yes, Tiki, as ridiculous as it does sound, I can vouch for it. That's a real thing.
All right.
Anyway, so Jack Frost, he foolishly flies off with what he thinks is Frosty's hat, but in reality is a horse's hat. So the next day, kids know something's off about the good old Froster here, good old Frosty. Something's off with him.
Yeah, he kind of yearns to go inside and have the family experience that he just can't get because he can't go out inside.
Yeah, Frosty, again, this is kind of the ever-present thing. It's always in the snowman, like we've seen with the other Jack Frost. It's to tie things together here.
Jack Frost.
With the Michael Keaton Jack Frost, basically another living snowman. But we see this all the time in the snowman mythos and the snowman lore. The snowman can't go indoors. You can't kind of mingle with everybody, kind of in the more personal, kind of roasting by the fire sense, unless you're Olaf the snowman, who's been gifted with kind of a permafrost effect. You can't get away with that always. So it's kind of a neat little problem to give Frosty. Frosty's going to get lonely, and again, he's only here for a brief time, and it's something that kind of confounded him in the first one. He had to leave town because things got too warm for him. And, again, the kids can't be there always, or else they're going to freeze their little toes off if they hang out with Frosty all day. So the kids come up. We gotta find a way to make Frosty comfortable out here. We can't just have our buddy be all lonely out here. How can we make him feel better? So they get an idea to build Frosty a companion. And I love this bit here too. We see Frosty, and I love that Frosty is such a great character here. Where Frosty, he's not asking for this. He's not asking for any of this. Frosty is. He's just kind of saying, it's I don't see you. I can't come indoors with you guys, and I know I can't do that because I'll melt. It's just, and of course, as he's saying, it's just like tears full snow face, and it's like, oh man, it's a sad thing we see a snowman crying, man. I don't know about you, me, it just breaks my heart. So they feel, what?
Fine in nature.
Yeah, you need. Then they tell Frosty, okay, Frosty, you need a wife. You need a wife. What's a wife? Someone who thinks you're beautiful. Sorry, someone you think is beautiful, who thinks you're handsome, and will love you back when you love her. Oh, what a great invention! Oh yeah, good old Frosty here. He's like kind of a prospect here. Like, oh boy, I could find a wife, and I would never be alone. What do you know? So, next day, kids build a snow wife. So Frosty's kind of throwing out the specifications, like round and plump. Basically kind of similar snowman body type. They kind of go through like these little details that kind of differentiate from Frosty's lore here. Eyes made from 2 blue beads. From Elsa's favorite necklace, not that Elsa, the other Elsa, which I just wanted to shout out there because it's kind of ironic we have the kid named Elsa, all wintry. I think it's a very wintry name in retrospect, Elsa. I don't know. So from the girl's necklace, they were plastic, but they sparkled like sapphires. I love the really good descriptive lines on like kind of the old, like we can't use 2 eyes made out of coal. It's like let's jazz it up a little bit. You get a sense of that here. The nose was a thimble. The mouth was. I love the mouth. I love the mouth was a piece of mom's pink yarn. That was nice. Of course, you got Andy Griffith here, kind of selling the comedy in this too a little bit. He's just, and a dust mop became a coiffure. It's a hairdo, I'm sorry. You want to take us through some of this?
Yeah, I guess I don't have much to say. They're trying to name the wife Cleopatra. Nah.
Gertrude? Nah. Minnehaha?
What's up with these weird names, Dragon?
But here's the thing. Now, this is sequelitis, okay? Here's the thing. So, again, in the first special, we have the thing where they get like, oatmeal. We throw that gag out there. And again, it was a pretty, like, they're naming Frosty in the first place. We try doing it again, and I'm convinced they extended it because they thought it was really funny in the first one. We got to do it again, but we got to, like, let's just stretch it out a little bit. It really reads a little off. Like, man, really stretching this out, aren't we? Cornflakes?
Cornflakes. You see, just that on its own would have been a good callback to the oatmeal thing.
That's the thing. Basically, they should have just went with Cleopatra. Then Cleopatra, the horses like saying like something like "nay, no," and then cornflakes. That's the rule of 3. They should have gone rule of 3 like the first one. Then they happen on. So Frosty gets an idea. How about Crystal? All right. So Frosty.
That's enough name, I guess.
It works, it's kind of, crystallized snow. It's nice. Frosty introduces himself. And he realizes the inherent flaw in this whole plan. Tiki, what is that inherent flaw?
She's not all living like I am.
Not that it's important, but, it's important.
I like that line, Dragon, because it basically shows like, Frosty doesn't want to be offensive, but he's got to say it like it is. He's kind of got to be a realist about this whole situation.
Like Frosty's such a nice. Like I remember even the first time he was talking to Hocus Pocus the rabbit. He's telling like Hocus Pocus like throwing out these ideas that are in no way achievable. He's saying, "Oh, they were good ideas. They're just we can't do it. There's not possible for us to do right now."
Uh-huh.
So they try a lady's hat, the hat from the female horse. They put the lady's hat on Crystal, hoping again like just hats are the X factor. It's like the chemical X of snowmen coming to life. And I love this from Andy Griffith here. So they put that hat upon her head and nothing. So he's just kind of, and the music begins again, and it's like nothing. It's just like Andy Griffith like kind of pulling the rug out from under you. Nothing. You got nothing. Didn't work. Didn't happen. No movie. Go home now, folks. It's over. Nothing. No, but it's much more uplifting than that. So we do have a sad Frosty. That we have, Frosty's very sad, and again, this is heartbreaking here. He's sad, but he accepts it was a nice idea anyway. And Andy Griffith, of course, is echoing, yeah, things are pretty sad for Frosty. And again, nothing sadder than a crying snowman. But meanwhile, unbeknownst to Frosty, Jack Frost, what's going on with the Frost Man?
Frost, he's like more harsh, right? Something like that.
Well, no, Frost is Jack Frost is looking for the hat.
Oh yeah, he realizes that the magic hat that he got isn't the real magic hat, so someone's been horsing around with Jack Frost. Now it's him. The Frosted Snowman did it.
And we have this great shot. Of like Jack Frost getting mad, man. We build up the menace of Jack. He's such a high-voiced guy. Again, it's Paul Frees with a high voice, but by the same token, I think he brings the menace in this role, don't you think? Because there's a great balance of kind of like he's bumbling, but at the same time very menacing. Because you see have these visions of Frosty in his eyes, and then the eyes turn red, and then like the whole eye turns red. He says, "I'll show them. No one makes a fool of Jack Frost. No more Frosty." So then, so even if our narrator saying even if Frosty had known what Jack Frost had in store for him. All of Frosty's thoughts were about his beloved, still silent Crystal, which again is quite nice. Again, it's such a great image of Frosty still like he's hanging out with Crystal. He's holding out hopes and
lava just a little bit.
A little bit, I guess, yeah. Well, honestly, I would think more about Wall-E.
Completely like polar opposite, like in terms of lava being tropical and everything, of course, but.
Maybe a little bit of Wall-E there again, kind of like Eve when she kind of goes in the shutdown mode. A bit of that, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that.
So it's an endearing image of Frosty still trying to kind of pal around with Crystal here, and just like he's old now. Maybe she'll come to life, even if she doesn't. It's like at least I'm not alone standing out here,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gee, Crystal, I don't care if you're not all living. And he gives her this bouquet of frost flowers, which. It's a gift of love under the winter stars. It's not all just the fact that it's a gift, but it's a gift of love, and it's under kind of the wintry stars. And it's a talking snowman. Like what logic are we going to apply to this at the end of the So
right.
So point is, it was an icy.
Basically, plot hole proof.
Yeah, it's an icy miracle that happens here, where it works. You gotta admit though, I like that it wasn't just a rehash of the hat plot, don't you?
I mean, it's still a magical object that brings the snowman to life. I don't think it's that original, honestly.
Well, no. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I don't.
I'm killing you, Dragon. I'm killing you with this. This is why I didn't want to do this so soon after the original Frosty, man.
Okay, let me put it this way. Right? I don't think she holds.
I knew I wouldn't have as much to say about this as I did the original Frosty. This is exactly my point, man. I'm sorry. I've openly vouched to not.
What I was getting at is I don't think she's holding the flowers for the whole time. I think it's literally the gift that brings her to life. And again, we see with Frost, it's kind of again like the gift of love. You don't quite need the magical items. I think they kind of broke the constraint on that one this time around. But My read on it.
Mm.
Anyway, so the little icy miracle happens, and she's like, "Happy birthday!" And it's Shelley Winters. What an appropriate name for the role.
God.
So he's asking, "What kept you, Crystal?" And this is kind of beautiful. And she says, "I thought you'd never think of those flowers." Again, like a wife, she's smarter than the husband. I like that. It's like there's a question of is she just really sweet or is she smarter? That's I think it's a little bit of both. At the end of the day, I think she's quite smart and frosty, but you never know. Maybe she's just really nice.
And these two just talk about a rushed marriage, man. It's like they need each other. It's like, okay, time to get married.
To be fair, she was created to be Frosty's wife. Therefore, her purpose is to be a wife, to be married off. So,
which kind of bears with it its own sort of weird, 2010 era implications.
Oh, come on. Now you just
I'm sorry, it's just the world we're living in right now.
Anyway,
you know what I'm talking about.
I'm saying it's like the look. I'm gonna try to untaint this. Look, it's like toys are like look at the Toy Story, illogical logic. What brings toys to life? They have a purpose. Like they're designed for children to be played with by children. That's the purpose. Therefore, Crystal's purpose is to be married to Frosty, to be Frosty's wife. Bada bing, bada boom. Right. Controversy out the window.
All right.
Anyway, so let's see. Oh yeah, so basically it's like, okay, hey everyone, we're gonna have a wedding. Then we have basically the Frosty and Crystal kind of version of the Frosty the Snowman song, and let's see. So then I love this. Then we have
when they get into the Frosty and Crystal part of this, it's like they do like at least 3 or 4 reprises of Frosty and Crystal, and I'm just like, at this point, I'm just done with this song.
Anyway, I do like there's a lyric in this song about like "Happy Birthday to a Dream," which is quite beautiful when you think about it. It's "Happy Birthday to the Dream," like what the phrase that every snowman utters when they're brought to life. Happy birthday. It's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong. It's used quite often, but it doesn't really kill the mood for me. So, then we hear the narrator go, "Oh no!" And I just like he's kind of breaking the fourth wall there, saying, "Oh no, something bad's gonna happen to Frost." I mean, he's omniscient.
The narrator is kind of like he is kind of like a proto Cusco in that way. He does kind of just stop the film dead in its tracks on multiple occasions.
Yeah. When we do this Jack Frost crossover, I know who we got to get for the narrator. We got to get Bob Odenkirk because we got to have kind of.
Oh God.
Get Bob Odenkirk for our narrator because again the whole Matlock of it all. We gotta get Odenkirk in there, man. Next logical step. All right. Anyway, getting back to this. So Jack Frost, he blows the hat off Frosty's head, so Frosty stops dead in his tracks. So Jack Frost now has Frosty's head, and again, this is kind of quite menacing and taunting from Paul Frees here, just saying, "No more Frosty, no more Frosty." Then we have this beautiful moment here from Crystal. She's saying, "No more Frosty, that's ridiculous. You have a wife." Formalities notwithstanding, which I do love as she calls herself on that. Well, formalities notwithstanding, to help. So she gives Frosty, again, a gift of love more than the item itself. She gives him a little flower corsage thingy in the scarf. So again, a gift to say, "I love you, Frosty," which, again, the gift of love is the little loophole, which, again, magically brings Frosty life without the hat, which, again, is kind of revolutionary when you think about the Frosty the Snowman lore. Like, wow, we're really casting off the shackles of this thing.
It broke new ground.
It broke new icy ground. So happy birthday, he's back, and the two are belly whopping away, and of course Jack Frost, just because again we can't have Frosty without the hat for iconography and merchandising reasons.
Yeah,
Jack
exactly.
He tosses the hat. It's like Woody without his hat. We gotta give him his hat back. We can't just let him have it. But yeah, he doesn't need the hat, but giving him the hat is like we need it. So he tosses his hat in anger, and then of course magically like it kind of horseshoes on Frosty's head perfectly, and like drat. I just love Jack Frost got so angry he threw it so far. It's so silly, Outfrosted again, and then he falls like, oh, look at that Jack Frost, he's so bumbling. So I want to talk about this overall animation here. You'll notice throughout this thing, there's a big color error. I don't know if you noticed it, Tiki. Things constantly go to gray when they have like shots with a lot of characters, or just Jack Frost's face, like the red highlights on his face keep turning to gray, and in the wide shots, all the characters when they're not focused or in the light, they're gray.
Yeah, I did. It didn't really bother me that much because to me the animation errors in this thing are just kind of more of a charm to it than anything else.
I just want to point it out. It's like one of the charming animation errors. This time it's all gray. We're going gray for the holidays. So let's see. So Frosty and Crystal, they gather the kids. They announce the wedding. The kids get a preacher for the last minute night wedding, which again I imagine is like the killer on the catering service. I imagine. Need Arendelle on that one, like you need like Elsa, like kind of snapping her fingers and bring a little snow buffet outside. I mean, otherwise, it's. So we have Parson Brown. This is kind of my favorite element of the whole thing. Is again, I'm so charmed by the notion of working in Winter Wonderland into your actual plot, and the fact that we actually have a Parson Brown in this. I love that.
Right. This is like one of the very few times we actually see Parson Brown. It's like you've all heard of Dasher and Dancer and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty the Snowman, but do you remember Parson Brown? Gosh darn it! He's like the Friar Tuck of the Rankin Bass animated universe.
Oh God! So Parson Brown he shows up and he bursts the bubble of the big jubilant wedding celebration here. That by law he can't marry snow people. He can only marry living people. So they find a little loophole here. This thing's all about loopholes, and I love it. We have a snow parson. The kids he helps him build a snow parson. Of course, what's the thing? And this opens up a connotation that's kind of fun and trippy when you think about it. So a snow parson's not a snow parson. Till he holds the good book in his hands. So they put the Bible in the snow parson's hands, and he comes to life. So there's a little bit of a religious connotation there. We're going to let that one lie, but still, just think about it. It was literally a miracle. It's kind of funny.
I mean, this to me just kind of raises more questions. Like, would you just need a magical stethoscope to make a snowman doctor, or what? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Again, I'm trying not to look at the logic of this stuff too hard, but
anyway. So, anyway, so the snow parson is created. Happy birthday! So Jack Frost, he's trying to foil the wedding because he causes this big old blizzard to spoil, a big old windy blizzard to spoil the wedding, spoil everything. And we have a big character moment here. We have Crystal. She makes her way through the wind and everything to talk to Jack Frost. And here's like one of the big great Jack Frost scenes here. So Crystal, Crystal, she's coming up to him and she's respecting the legend. She's saying, "Oh, it's you!" And Jack Frost, I love Jack Frost turning bashful here. He goes, "Oh, someone's finally giving me the attention." Says, "Of course, you're Jack Frost. We all know about you. You're the most important person here. We couldn't begin without you." And Jack Frost is a little baffled. He was like, "Okay." He said, "Again, I'm trying to be evil here. You guys are kind of harshing my mellow. What's going on here?" And again, I love this idea, Tiki, because it's like, yeah, like they can't start because he brings the snow. Therefore, he would be the most important person there. Again, they can't literally begin as snowmen without him. So
probably the most charming part of the whole thing. I like how it takes just a little bit of goodwill to turn Jack Frost on the good side. It's a very simple message, but a good one.
Yeah, so they're like thanking Jack. Like, she thanks Jack Frost for attending the wedding. Thank you for coming, for gracing us by coming to our wedding. And Jack Frost is questioning all of this. Wait, what are you talking about, Jane Crystal? Again, whether she's really smart or she's just really sweet here, it's kind of hard to tell. I hope it's a bit of both. Crystal asks him to turn the wind down to hear better. And he says, "All right, yes, but just for a minute." And then she whispers an idea of Frosty, and then says, "Oh, what a neat idea!" So then Crystal considers. Well, considering the bride's made of winter, and the groom's made of winter, and the parson's made of winter, the whole wedding party should be wintry. could you? And basically, Frost is asking, could you be the best man? Could I be? I've always been the best man. Again, the great turn here of using Jack Frost's ego and turning it to a place of genuine friendness and basically a show of kindness and thanks to Jack Frost is all he ever wanted, and that turns him into a good guy. And again, like it pleases his ego, but it also makes him happy on one level. But he grows as a person, and he's making friends. That's quite lovely. It's a lovely sentiment around the holidays, I feel. So she kisses him and thanks, and he says like, "Oh, happy birthday! Come on, guys, we got a wedding to start." So the wedding starts, and it's on a mantle of light, heaven of diamonds shining down tonight. Then the Winter Wonderland song begins, which is quite nice. Basically, it's all coming to a head here. We're justifying why it's called Frosty's Winter Wonderland. Is all working out tremendously well, and again, the practical application of story of the story to the plot here is really nice. So the birds are like bringing Crystal a veil, and they're walking down the aisle, and basically the song plays out before your eyes. Andy Griffith starts to sing, and then the parson sings it as well. Jack Frost is all. I don't know if you noticed, Jack Frost is like all happy and bouncy as the best man at the altar. He's like, "Hey guys, look at me, I'm Jack Frost." He's kind of doing that all the time.
Yeah, it's infectious for sure. It's like I said, I think the reformed Jack Frost is probably my favorite part of this whole thing.
Yeah, and Parson, he's kind of miming what the song's lyrics are, which I thought was kind of a clever move. We don't need to hash it all verbatim. We just kind of have it acted out between them during the song. Like, you'll say, "Are you married?" You'll say, "No, man, but you can do the job while you're in town." And we flash to a potential future of Frosty and Crystal while they're at that nice kind of chiseled out ice home, cozying up by the ice fire, which is kind of nice. And this is kind of beautiful image here where they have a snow family with 3 snow kids and a snow dog. I mean, tell me that ain't cute. And we have this great and Tiki. I don't know what it is. I love the echo of it all. I just love how this is a sound quality you don't have today that you can only get in like the late '60s, or I guess the early '70s. I guess I don't know. Where we have this great kind of they use like an old microphone or something here because we hear the parson say with a great resonance to his voice. Like, again, he hasn't been saying anything throughout the whole ceremony because it's been the song, but now he's saying, "I now pronounce you snowman and wife." I don't know. It sounds kind of big and kind of like monolithic in a way, kind of snow monolithic, if you will.
No, like you said, Dragon, I definitely think that has something to do with the just the sound quality and the sound mixing in general. I can't quite put my finger on it, but old cartoons did used to have that kind of quality to it, and I honestly don't even know if it's intentional or not, but it's an interesting thing to point out.
So they all lived happily ever after, as Andy Griffith tells us, through January, through February, through March, and way into April. And we reveal that it began another problem, a winter that almost didn't end. So then we have a little callback to the thermostat. Basically, see what went wrong here. So there was a little we call back to the thermostat gag in the first one, where when thermometers thermometer gag. When thermometers get all red, that means it's time for us to go. And this is kind of a great thing. I remember when I watched this for the first time, it was like, oh man, like years ago, it was like, oh man, it's kind of a trippy solution to Frosty's problem. It's kind of a great question to kind of trip up the status quo of Frosty the Snowman. Like, how do we not just make this like the first one? Like, okay, let's solve that problem like right here and now. Jack Frost fixes everything. I can fix that. Winter never has to end. We can have fun all year round. It can go on forever. I love that Jack Frost, while he's being all nice and reformed and nice to his snow pals, there's a little bit of sinisterness, but unintentional sinisterness to that performance. That's a great layered performance by Paul Frees there for a very simple character.
Yeah, I mean, well, he is simple, but it's the same point, a little bit more layered than the rest of the cast in this thing, because I feel like the rest of the cast are kind of just like, by all intents and purposes, their characterization could fit on a Hallmark Christmas card, for better or for worse. But, Jack Frosty does have some different dynamics there. You know what I mean? He's egotistical, but at the same point, he just needs a little bit of a connective tissue to other people to soften his heart. And then by that same point, when he softens his heart, there's still kind of like an air of like of selfishness regarding what he's doing. It's, I don't know. I really like the characterization there. I don't have a ton to say about this thing, but I can analyze the hell out of him.
Yeah. So the kids are happy, as any kid would be. Winter's going on, schools are closing, I imagine. So it just went on and on and on. But then folks started to worry. And then it was up to Parson Brown, the real one, not the snow one. It was up to Parson Brown to set him straight, but very kindly. And I got to tell you, this sentiment again. I remember this third act of like everything here, this little ending. Again, it's quite beautiful when you think about it here, because the parson. And this basically, it kind of feels like this is going to be a weird analogy, Tiki, so forgive me if it's just kind of like going over people's heads here, but it's kind of like the Lorax done right, this scene, to me, where Parson Brown comes up. He says, winter never ends. Look, that may be fun for you, but what about the trees with new leaves in them bursting to be born, and the seeds and the bulbs deep in the ground? Nature. I love how it kind of like this great kind of background music, like kind of in the instrumentation behind it, kind of a background score going on here. It feels really kind of nice and kind of genuine here, where it's like, nature made him a promise that they'd be pretty flowers, and you imagine how you'd feel if someone broke such a promise to you. Again, it feels kind of big. It feels really kind of feeling warm and fuzzy. Like, man, this parson speaks wisdom. Like, yeah, he's not wrong. And winter's cool, snow's cool, especially if you're a kid. But look, whether even something like different from snow and winter, like what if it's rain? People don't always like rain, but you need rain to grow things. You need rain in the environment. It's like it's an environmental message that actually facilitates, and this, sorry, let me rephrase that actually necessitates itself. It's not just like a forced in message, like we need to address the environment. Like, no, it's fit in there quite nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Frost, and this is one of those lovely moments of Jack Frost right here. Jack Frost says, "Oh, I didn't mean to hurt anybody. I like the flowers, even though I never get a chance to see them," which is quite beautiful and profound, Jack Frost, and really think about that. He's only here for a brief time. He's there for the winter months, and he kind of goes off his merry way, and he can appreciate beautiful things even without seeing them. Kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. So Crystal agrees. Parson Brown's right. We gotta get out of here. The kids say, I love this though. They wrote off the kids completely. If you really think about it, so the kids is gonna pop in because it's like the kids obligatory. Like, well, we'll miss you very much. Like literally, if you look at like the girl pops in the frame, says, "Well, we'll miss you very much." And look, I don't mean to take the sentiment out of that, but it's like the kid just kind of pops up for like an obligatory, like, yeah, we got to address the kids missing Frosty, because don't get me wrong, they will, and we all will, but we'll be back to see you in no time. And basically we'll be back to see you. This is no time for long faces. And then basically they kind of do a parade like they had in the first one, as like Frosty's kind of heading out of town. So they head down to the village. They're down.
Like I'd be just repeating myself. I said the song was a little repetitive. I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm really self-conscious about my performance this podcast, but I've got nothing with this. It's not bad. It's just it's not for me.
All right. So they're heading down to the village, and they bump into one of my favorites, another Paul Frees character. They bump into the traffic cop.
Yeah, this was a nice callback. I'll give you that much.
Yeah. And he said, and this is lovely here. He just bumps into him, but now the traffic cop remembers Frost. He says, "Oh, it's you again." This is you don't surprise me any. The talking snowman. You don't surprise me anymore. And then Frosty introduces his snow wife, Crystal, and that again is quite a lovely gesture. He tips his hat, says, "It is be my pleasure, Crystal," which is really nice, man. Showing respect to the Crystal meeting her. Yeah, that's a nice traffic cop, man. And poor guy, what happens to him here? So they isn't that nice, a snow wife? And then Muller Paul goes by, "A snow wife?" And of course, in panicking, he throws his whistle up in the air and he swallows it like the first time. I got to tell you though, unlike the first one, like at the very end of the first Frost, like the cop, the traffic cop, and the magician are walking through the street, so he was okay, and he was basically like whistling with the whistle in his gullet. Here though, the animation's a little intense. It looks like he he's kind of choking on the whistle. It looks kind of. I wish we saw that he was okay. I gotta be honest.
God.
I always kind of like stuck with like, oh my god, like his eyes are going like they're kind of like Vegas lights almost. Like you have like 8 balls and like I don't know like weird kind of like a light show going on in his eyes. It looks like he's like it's kind of like the over the top cartoon like choking, potentially on the verge of dying. It's like, oh man, I hope he's okay. Anyway.
Didn't really notice that, Dragon. I'll have to go back and look for that.
Yeah. So let's see. So Frosty and Crystal board the refrigerated boxcar. Again, we'll call back. Jack Frost is also there. They all leave. The snow melts. It's a winter wonderland is now a memory. Kids are now swimming, and we visually do a nice little transition here from the snow to the summer, where the kids are swimming in the swimming hole somewhere. Andy Griffith, for some reason, dressed as a scoutmaster. I don't quite know the logic of that one. He's kind of walking into the frame as a scoutmaster. Well, it was it's a good the winter one. I was a memory, but a good memory though, and all good memories never die, which is quite nice. But as we know, one not so far away day, the first snowflake will fall, and we reveal Jack Frost in the tree, and he causes winter, and they're all going skating. You know, like time has passed, it's all kind of nice and pleasant there, and they're all there. They're all skating on the ice. It's, may all your winters be wonderful. And Crystal and Frost, basically, they're all three. Me and Jack Frost kind of jumps in there, and Frosty too. Dun, 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 dun. They're all laughing, having a good time.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh man, Dragon, I'm really sorry I didn't have more to say about this, but as we ask our defining question, how does it hold up as a Christmas special? All right.
Huh?
Dragon, this is not a Christmas special. It's a winter special, sure. It's set around winter time, sure. Christmas doesn't get brought up once, Dragon. Not once.
Well, you know, it's based on the Christmas property, therefore it's somewhat Christmas related. But you're right, Christmas is not.
I hear you, but I mean, it's like if we're gonna go on that route, it's like it's kind of saying like, well, Gremlins 2 was based on a Christmas movie, so that's also a Christmas movie. It's like no, it's. I'm sorry, Dragon. That's to me what really held this back was, I don't get any Christmas out of this, and I gotta say, I was kind of like. Throughout this whole podcast, I was kind of wondering why I didn't have more to say about this. And honestly, that's kind of why, it's like through these seasonal shenanigans, we, of course, in Christmas in July as well, naturally, we like to take a look at the tropes. We like to compare them against other Christmas specials. And we like to talk about the holiday atmosphere and Dragon is just, this had none of that. It's like, it didn't have the tropes. It didn't have the atmosphere. It just, I'm sorry. So for that reason, it's like, it's a decent enough special. I don't think it comes anywhere near the original in terms of just being iconic and super nostalgic. But I gotta say, man, I'll say this much. If I would have watched this before finalizing the roster, I would have had a real problem putting it as the finale just for the lack of actual Christmas. And I still think that we could have had a better choice for a finale than this. I really do. And, I don't want to get into behind the scenes politicking here or anything, but I don't know, man. In terms of my final thoughts on this, it's, Andy Griffith is great. Paul Frees is by far the best thing about it, but it's a little repetitive. It's not nearly as memorable as the original one is. And, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. And I'm sure it's way, way, way better than, the other two Frosty things that you've been talking about. But I don't know, man. To me, this is like a far cry from something like Nightmare Before Christmas or The Grinch or the original Frosty, man. I don't know. I think in terms of the finales we've done for seasonal shenanigans, it's like this isn't bad by any means, but to me, it's certainly the least memorable finale. And I feel like a jerk for even saying that, but I don't know, man. I feel like we should have taken more into consideration the fact that this really isn't a Christmas related thing. It's it's wintry and it stars a Christmas character, but there's no Christmas to be had in the actual story, and that kind of bothers me. You lie, sticker on the front of the soundtrack. This is not a Christmas special. You lie.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm legitimately sorry. I feel like I'm stomping on your hopes and dreams right now.
Well, while I pick up the bulb that was on my tree, basically Tika right now he's Charlie Brown. I'm the tree right now. He's killed me by putting this kind of just putting like this dawning logical red bulb that has just kind of killed me. It's, basically all the music is drowned out. It's just I've killed him. Anyway, but getting back to this. So, look, I mean, Winter Wonderland, I think it's universally hailed as a Christmas song. It's winter, it's Christmas. It's in the barometer of Christmas and a character who's created by Christmas snow. I mean, I don't know. I think there's enough of an argument there. If there are any reservations, they should have been brought up in advance during a screening process, but not dealing with that here. The point being, again, it's like airs at Christmas. It's kind of a back-to-back thing with Frosty when he airs. Therefore, it is played around Christmas. Therefore, I think it technically fits within Christmas. Anyway, getting off of just the Christmas qualifier mark, the year, I think, 2018 on the whole is a year of sequels, and I thought we'd end on a sequel, assuming. Anyway, getting back to this. I think it's a great follow-up. I think it's very wholesome. I think it captures what's special about Frosty in many respects. Again, it's kind of a Bride of Frankenstein for Frosty, and I think it's top marks in a way because the Bride of Frankenstein's great, and kind of doing It's not just doing a wife story for just doing a wife story. So he's doing a wife story and kind of fitting in the Winter Wonderland of it all. It's kind of finding a way of telling a story that kind of fits into what was true about Frosty in his inception as a special in the first place, which I think is quite clever. Adds some new winter iconography, with Jack Frost of it all. We have some good music with it, specifically with the Winter Wonderland of it all and how that whole sequence plays out. I think there you have some themes of family, and importantly, I think some themes, whether it's just I would argue we have some themes of kind of what Christmas is about here, where it's like some themes of family and basically an act of kindness of a community and the creation of Frosty and looking out for one another and redeeming someone around a special time. I don't know. There's a bit of that. It's delightful and simple, and I thought it was nice, and I still think it's nice. So I think it holds up. Okay, maybe it's not an A stringer for a big Christmas finale. I think I'll go that far with you in retrospect. If we want to end up on big whammo blammo Christmas, I'll give you that. But on the whole, in terms of consistency, in terms of like a good special, in terms of a good kind of classic Rankin Bass special, I really liked it. And I think it holds up in that regard. So,
okay,
yeah.
So, Dragon, now that we've gone through our specials, do you want to quickly run down the list and check it twice?
Yeah.
Okay, I got the list in front of me. So The Grinch 2018, this was a really good one to start it out. I'm honestly higher on this movie than most people are. I think it's got some fantastic design work in it. Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch is basically Squidward in my eyes, and once I kind of learned to accept that, I learned to accept the softer edge the Grinch has a lot more. And Kenan Thompson is absolutely delightful. It's just all around, I feel like it's a nice I like it better than the Jim Carrey one, even though the Jim Carrey one's more ambitious. Just overall, I thought it was a very nice movie. It was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed the Grinch. Again, I keep saying it's like a tribute to the Grinch more. Like this shouldn't be your first introduction to the Grinch, but I do think it's an excellent tribute to that character. And I think it was well done. And again, without saying what it is, I do love kind of the thing that keeps jumping out to me about the Grinch is the very ending of the movie. I think the very end of the movie was really sweet. And again, there's kind of like a way of reinventing the Grinch, but still kind of like doing some interesting things with it. So on the whole, it's a solid one.
All right, let's see. The Christmas Chronicles, I think, was definitively the best thing that we reviewed this year. It's honestly, honest to God, probably one of the best original Netflix movies I've seen. It's like right up there with something like Pee-wee's Big Holiday. The illogical logic and world building in it is fantastic. It's got a ton of great Christmas atmosphere to it. Of course, Kurt Russell as a Grizzly Adams style Santa is wonderful. Kid acting might not be top marks, but basically everything else besides the kid acting holds up so much. It just such a good surprise, Dragon. Just like I said, I think the only problem with Christmas Chronicles is it meant we kind of peaked a little early this year with our lineup.
Yeah, we may have peaked a little early again. Kurt Russell Santa rocks, and it's awesome. Again, I keep using the "Twas the Night" comparisons, like kind of a cool, like kind of like a very unique Santa, like a Santa you don't see every day, and one it kind of jumps at, like kind of a little bit like Cranston. Like, again, not specifically Cranston Claus, but kind of like the. I love the Santa pseudo science in "Twas the Night." We have a lot of. It's been years since I've had something like that, and I kind of had a lot of that here. So it was delightful. And also, so I want to interject just to kind of see our progress through all of these. Also, we kind of learned that Tiki hates children around Christmas. So
okay, yeah, but then we get to Daddy's Home too, which mitigates. All right, I like those kids. All right, calm down with.
You liked one of the kids.
Yeah, I did. Pancakes, bitches.
Yep.
All right, look, Daddy's Home 2, like, it only got 3 views total. It was the lowest rated of the seasonal shenanigans.
Well,
so
don't look at it under that. Don't look at it under that.
Well, I'm just saying, clearly our audience didn't really care what we had to say about it. You know, it's like, and really, we didn't really care much for it either. It's a star vehicle for Mel Gibson and John Lithgow, but it's not much more than that. I mean, you know, if you're looking for a really good, family-friendly, wholesome movie around the holidays starring Mark Wahlberg, I'll argue go see Instant Family. It's wonderful if you can still find it in theaters, but yeah, Daddy's Home 2, not so much. It has like 3 funny scenes in it.
I'm pretty sympathetic with that. Had its funny moments, but definitely flawed. It's flawed, but I want to emphasize this: not as flawed, it's not as bad as the first one. Right? At least it's an improvement, but mainly it's like kind of like yeah, let's just do it for a holiday. It's like, again, we get some good people in the roles, but you know, let's just let's basically have some holiday fun, but not really think about it. That's Daddy's Home 2 in a nutshell.
Okay. Olaf's Frozen Adventure, man. This is one that was definitely a big surprise for me in terms of just how well it held up when you look at it under the microscope of not, you know, just as its own thing and not something that was kind of force-fed into Coco's theatrical run. I think the atmosphere here is really great. I love all the songs in it. It's a solid moral, you know, it's all around one of the strongest things we reviewed this year. I feel like it's a shame it gets as bad of a rap as it does.
Yeah, I think Olaf and Christmas Chronicles are probably like kind of the winners of this year for us. I think it was. Yeah, again, I always had a fondness for Olaf's Frozen Adventure, and again, just a great love for Frozen overall. And again, it's I gotta tell you, I swear to God, I was revisiting it because I finally got it on DVD for the holiday season, and I was rewatching it, and you know, there's some. I don't know. Like, you know, was rewatching. I found like some new bits about I didn't catch the first. And I was like, oh my god, that's so nice. I'm still finding things I like about that thing. Man. The Last Frozen Adventure rocks. I like
it. Nice. Okay, let's see. Then after that, we did Just Friends. Oh boy, Dragon, that one didn't really hold up all that well. I mean, it was okay. I wanted to like it more than I did. You know, I wasn't expecting much from it, but like it got me actively angry at how simplistic the ending was, and I didn't want to, you know, at the very least I wanted it to just be kind of like a worry-free, like kind of kick back and let your cares melt away sort of movie, and it wasn't. But you know, Ryan Reynolds brings the charm, I guess. It's, you know,
well, look, on the whole, again, Ryan Reynolds, yeah, he's the reason to check out Just Friends in the first place, which is why I checked out Just Friends in the first place. But aside from that, again, rewatching it, which I never really had to do with a fine-tooth comb, I did notice, yeah, things don't hold up a bit. But I want to interject one point, though. Again, I think you took more shots away from that, more shots of that because that personally didn't agree with you versus it. Like, I don't think you took the points that didn't hold up away that I did necessarily. I think you were looking more at it from perspective.
I mean, you're not wrong. I just felt like the movie's depiction of relationships in general was off. But
well, again, I think that one's just like a subjectivity thing. But you know, but again, I'm not saying it would have saved it either. I'm just saying I think
I'm not denying that it's not.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Muppets Christmas Letters to Santa. I feel like this was probably the most simplistic and baseline thing that we reviewed. It's basically exactly what we expected it to be. It wasn't the best Muppets Christmas special by any means, but it certainly wasn't the worst. It was kind of a solid 7 out of 10. There's some wonky stuff in it, but in general, it's very good. I think you and we both kind of have the favorite moment of the Sam the Eagle not opening other people's mail PSA.
Yeah, which I hear that.
Prison.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Yeah.
Right. And then by far the worst thing that we reviewed all year, Beauty and the Beast: The Enchanted Christmas. Oh my God, what a hot mess! Wow. I mean, basically, folks, to sum it up, if it's not Tim Curry, then it stinks. I mean, it really does. This thing has some of the worst songs that I've ever suffered through watching an animated film, Dragon. It really does.
I just want to remind you that the biggest plot point in that movie is that the Beast, his whole origin hinges on him. Like right before the big defining thing that shapes him for that whole story, for the Beauty and the Beast that you know and love in this midquel, if you will, is that he didn't like to read, and that he just thought a book was stupid. He was given a book by his faithful, the servants, like Lumiere and the gang. They give him a book on behalf of all. Very gracious gifts. A book? What am I supposed to do with a book? And then, of course, the lady with the rose comes by. It's like, God. Not solely when you really think about it that way. It's like that, and like basically Tim Curry plays a song. Oh man, it's so gloomy, and as he's walking to the door, it's so gloomy. And of course, big rose moment happens. So yeah,
all right,
I'm stuck with that now.
Okay, Dragon, this is one that I really wish would have gotten more attention. It didn't even crack the double digits in views, and I think that's a shame. And that's the Frozen Ever After holiday overlay pitch. I think we did a really damn good job with this, Dragon. I don't care what the views say. I'm happy with how this turned out.
Kind of like a Charlie Brown. I'm not going to let this commercial dog get in the way of my Christmas. It's one of those things.
And also, it contained one of my favorite podcasting moments of the year when I got to tell my story about how I was won over by Frozen Ever After through the power of charming Swedish bakers.
Yes.
Would you like to try the school bread? But really, Dragon, I think we did a damn good job with this. The concept art was fine. I think it did rather well. I think it was a unique approach on a pitch.
All right, so then we had Jack Frost.
Yeah, Jack Frost, Dragon. This was I'll go as far as to say this was maybe the dark horse favorite of the year. Like I would put it maybe number 3 behind Olaf's Frozen Adventure and Christmas Chronicles. I really enjoyed revisiting this one a lot.
Jack Frost had the most interesting background.
By any means, I think the snowman himself gets a little, doesn't get enough screen time, but I don't know, man. I think this one really holds up more than you would expect.
Yeah. I love the background on that one. Just learning the whole George Clooney thing, which I never really knew about. It's like, oh my God, it does. That snowman does look like more like George Clooney than Michael Keaton. That's it. They swap Batman at the last moment. Hell. Stunning.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay, then we get to an All Dogs Christmas Carol, and this one's really interesting, Dragon, because this one, I think, on a technical level, it's probably just as bad as The Enchanted Christmas, but it's way, way, way more self-aware of how silly it is.
The main thing that All Dogs has going for it is that it has the subversion of the Ghost of Christmas features. The main thing I checked out that I always stuck in my mind about that movie, and just the fact hey, way to change up Christmas Carol for a change. We're gonna kind of change up the usual visage of that guy. That was a neat move. But again, aside from that, for the movie, it's it's the ending to a very forgettable series that I literally had no idea existed. So.
But I mean, Belladonna, man, she was one of the more interesting talking points of the entire season just because of how batshit crazy her storyline was.
And again, let me reemphasize for those who have forgotten, Belladonna, witch, Not a demon, not like we're based on like a show or a property called All Dogs Go to Heaven. We can't just say like devil or demon or anything like no, just evil witch twin sister of Annabelle, the heavenly.
Ursula's crazy sister.
Pretty much, pretty much.
Okay, finally, Snow 2 Brain Freeze.
Which I loved.
And I liked a lot. I wouldn't say I loved it. I would say I definitively like the original Snow better than this one. But it's a lot of fun. I think they did the Amnesia plotline about as well as they possibly could have. With that being said, the Amnesia plotline is far from the first thing I would do with a Snow sequel. Patrick Fabian is probably the best thing about the movie. He's delightful, and Tom Cavanaugh does have, that classic Tom Cavanaugh charm. But I feel like Snow 2 was maybe a little bit too ambitious for its own good. I like the simplistic romantic comedy angle of the original Snow a little bit better, but still, it's very good. It's just not. It didn't quite live up to the first one for me.
Patrick Fabian trying to steal Christmas. That's all I gotta say.
All right, and then rounds out to Frosty's Winter Wonderland, which suffice to say, Dragon. I'm like, it didn't do a ton for me. I like Jack Frost, but other than Jack Frost, I wish I liked this more than I did. Like I said, I think a big factor is the fact that it's just not really a Christmas special by any stretch, outside for a couple loose references here and there. But overall, Dragon, I think besides the fact that we maybe peaked a little early and did the strongest thing second, I'd say this was a pretty damn good lineup. It was a good mix of stuff that kind of met our expectations, stuff that was kind of painful to sit through but fun to talk about, and some genuinely good stuff in there as well, as including something in the form of Christmas Chronicles, which is a 2018 film that's probably going to go on to be on the rotating roster for both of us for years to come. So I think we had a successful year this time around.
Yeah. All right. Before we go, I want to shout something because in the kind of the spirit of the season, we got a really lovely comment here I want to share from Pink Pearl Apple. Pink Pearl Apple joined us earlier in the show and for the majority of the show here. So I want to echo that sentiment of I may go watch Legend of the Three Cabs after this. I have no idea what that means, but I'm just going to share that.
Legend of the Three Caballeros, which is Pink Pearl Apple joined us because she's a big Three Caballeros DuckTales fan.
Okay.
I might have to do some podcasts about the Legend of the Three Caballeros and the DuckTales offseason. I've been meaning to get around to that.
It makes a lot more sense. I was thinking like Three Cabs. What is she talking?
yeah.
Okay, Pink Pearl Apple, though. I may go watch Legend of the Three Caballeros after this. Merry Christmas, guys. Have a great eve tomorrow. I'll stick around, which that they did. And the point is just Merry Christmas, guys. Isn't that a lovely sentiment? Yay! Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Pink Pearl Apple. And this is honestly the first year Dragon 2018 in general. I feel like is the first year where we actually got fans who were lucky enough to interact with us in the chat and everything. So good folks with Demona B, Pink Pearl Apple. Shoot, Dragon, help me out here. I know there's a couple others.
Well, I don't know if Kellen O'Rourke tuned. I think Kellen O'Rourke, probably you ordinarily have Kellen O'Rourke.
Kellen O'Rourke was the other one I was thinking of. So even those three, Demona B, Pink Pearl Apple, Kellen O'Rourke, it's not like a huge fan following or anything like that. But guys, I just want to let you know if you're watching this, Demona, Pink Pearl Apple, Kellen O'Rourke, you three you made this year so much more rewarding for me in terms of doing podcasts, because we are a channel where we're basically, at certain points, Dragon, I feel like we're kind of talking to ourselves at some points, but with great people like that following our stuff and interacting with us from time to time, it really makes it all worth it. I never set out to make any money off of this channel, and we probably never will make any money off of this channel. I always viewed this channel as just a fun hobby and a way to meet people and, just kind of something to do to unwind. and to express myself. And Dragon, like I said, it's just even a few people watching and commenting regularly means a world of difference to me. It makes it that much more rewarding to do this little hobby of ours. And Dragon, I don't know. I have to look on the calendar. Are we coming up on our 5th year of working together?
Oh, God, put me on the spot, why don't you?
I want to say if it's not this year was our 5th year, the next year will definitely be our 5th year of working.
Well, I mean, we've been doing it since roughly 2014, but so I guess that put us at year 5, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
roughly
been
year 5.
It's been a pleasure. All right.
All right, well, kids, time to dash away, all. But as we wave goodbye, don't you cry. We'll be back again next time
for even more seasonal shenanigans.
La 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 la
la la la.
Happy birthday!
Pancakes, bitches!